Who are we missing? Everybody? First of all, I want to welcome all of you. I'm Ellen Gould. I'm PCIC chairperson for this year. And I would like to welcome you all, Ann White, Kate, Emily, Dave, and Craig. I also like to welcome the audience. Thank you for coming. What I'm going to do first is just start by reading opening remarks and introduce what we're going to do. You guys have all received a packet of information and had time to review it, and then go over a little bit of the rules, and then we'll get started. On behalf of the Livermore parent community, I would like to welcome our school board candidates, Superintendent Kelly Bowers and colleagues, school board members, district staff, and guests to the PCIC Candidate Forum. My name is Ellen Gould, and I'm honored to be part of the forum this evening. I have been a Livermore resident for 20 years and involved with our schools for 16. I've served on the Parcel Tax Steering Committee, school site councils, Parent Club executive boards, and for the past 6 years, I've been serving as the chairperson for the Parent Club Information Council. I'm privileged to be part of this wonderful community. As you may know, the Parent Club Information Council, PCIC, is a nonpartisan group comprised of parent leaders from parent groups from each of the 19 school sites in the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District. The purpose of our group is to collaborate through the sharing and exchange of information with LVJ USD and to move forward common goals to support the educational needs of all students. This evening, we are here to provide and moderate an open forum for 6 residents who have submitted applications for the 3 vacant 4-year terms on the LVJ USD Board of Education. Our utmost gratitude and appreciation goes out to the candidates who have come forward and are willing to take on such an important role in our community. We hope through this forum that the Livermore community learns about and understands the interests, experiences, and educational perspectives of these candidates, and that the candidates glean information about the parent community as well. The format, which candidates receive beforehand, entails 6 questions, with each candidate being allowed 2 minutes to answer each question. Questions will be displayed on screens in the room, and answering order will be rotated for each question. Candidates, I am your timekeeper this evening. I will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining in your response. I will then show you a red card when your time is up and state, I'm sorry, but the time is up. Our moderator, Monica Bacchi, will then ask the next applicant to begin, or she will pose the next question. Feel free to be as spontaneous as possible with your answers. Note that candidate Chung Bothwell is not able to be with us this evening. I will be reading a statement on her behalf at the appropriate time. Audience, please turn off your cell phones and remain quiet throughout the forum. Campaign material and contact information for each candidate is located on the table outside this room. For additional questions you may have after the forum, you're welcome to contact candidates directly. Candidates, do you have any questions before we begin? That's good. Great. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Monica Bacchi. Monica has been a Livermore resident for 20 years, involved with our schools for 16 years, and a PCI member. She was instrumental in chartering the PTSA at Livermore High School, managed collaboration for a combined LHS and GHS Safe and Sober Grand Night, and served on the Parcel Tax Steering Committee. Monica is on the LHS 125 committee and has been on executive boards at all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. Thank you, Monica, and welcome.
Thank you very much. So candidates, our timer is here, and it is a 3-minute timer. We're allowing 2 minutes for every candidate to answer their question. So at 1:30, you'll receive your yellow card letting you know that you have 30 seconds left, and then at 1 minute, your time is up. Okay? So I'm going to draw to see who answers first, and then we'll proceed in a clockwise motion to the left. So the next candidate will answer. Everybody will have an opportunity to answer a question first, and then for our sixth question, I'll draw again to see who's the lucky person that gets to answer first twice. Okay, Tammy? The candidate in seat 4, which is candidate Von Heater. Okay. So the first question is a free-form self-introduction. So please consider commenting on what compels you to run for the Livermore Valley Board of Education as a trustee, given the time and energy required to serve. Candidate Von Heater.
What compels me, I think, the most is just a sense of giving back to my community. I already give a lot of time to my youngest 2 sons' elementary school, Lawrence. So I think there's a natural transition for me to do more for the larger Livermore community. I grew up in a family of someone that was in politics a lot and at meetings, and I kind of knew the commitment growing up. So there's really no surprises for me here in terms of the commitment that's needed to be a trustee. Just a desire to serve, again, more families than just my kids' school, right? It's all the schools in Livermore and the larger community. I feel like there's a need to have a different voice, a fresh voice and fresh perspective on this board that's currently not representative of younger families. I'm there with them at schools, sports fields. I understand kind of what they're going through and their needs, and I'd like to represent that.
Thank you. Candidate Bueno.
I ran 4 years ago after running a parcel tax here. I was asked to kind of co-chair a parcel tax so we can keep some small class sizes, add some counselors and things like that. Gave me a little bit of insight into the school district. Looking at the school district, I spent my whole adult professional life as a firefighter. Spent half of that as a labor leader within the fire service, and I was promoted to every position within the department, left as the fire chief, where I managed the fire department, had a multi-million-dollar budget from 07 to 12, which was the financial crisis. So I had pretty good expertise in organizational change and finance, and I thought, coming here, after looking at a few things, that I could assist. We were fortunate enough to have a very good superintendent, very, very knowledgeable, and I thought I could help in that endeavor. I've coached here in this district for about 25 plus years, and I've got 19 seasons of high school coaching in. So I've been around the campuses. I'm there every day. I'm there 6 days a week coaching. For a while, I was there year-round. I did wrestling and football. I just don't like average. And one thing when I was in the fire service, my thing was I wanted excellence. And I knew that if the funding is the same, why not be the best? And I look here, and we've got 5 top workplace awards. And a few of those are since I've been here, not because of me. Because of my individual efforts, but there were some things I saw that I thought I could assist with some partnerships, with some things like our teleconference system, with implementing solar, some things like that I knew would assist us, and we've been able to do that. So now we've got a facilities bond. To me, there were some glaring issues with facilities, and the community, we've been very fortunate to have a community that supports education between LVEF and some of the, Pedrosi, some of these great organizations. And, we're very fortunate. This is a very educated community with the 2 national laboratories, and utilizing those partnerships to benefit children, that's what I'm about. So, I'm retired now from my former profession. People say, well, what do you do with your time? I said, well, I just wanted to dedicate my time to children. I had 3 kids who went through these public schools and all did very, very well. So 2 of them went to Davis, and the other one went to Cal Berkeley, directly out of here. Big believer in public schools. So I want to make sure that I can do everything I can to help children. I've got the time to do it, and I believe I have the expertise and and the time. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Candidate White.
Do we get 4 minutes also?
It wasn't 4 minutes. The clock did not go back.
Oh, okay. I was just looking at it go past 2.5. And, okay. Whatever. I came to California from Indiana when I finished school at Purdue, and I got a job at UC San Francisco in medical research. Did that for 10 years. Married a man who was working at the lab. We moved to Livermore in 1982. And as soon as my children were launched, That is, they went to school most of the day. I became an active parent in the schools. I led the Laggett's organization, which was providing after-school enrichment for several years, and I had an opportunity to work with the people at the school district. And by George, they were happy then too. They enjoyed each other, they had a focus for kids, and it was, when there was an opening on this to be appointed to the school board, I applied. And I did not win, but I thought, I still can do this. I ask hard questions, I am inquiring, and I ask different questions because of my science background. So I ran for the school board, and I was elected and have served ever since. On the school board, I have been a delegate and director to the California School Boards Association. I've reviewed textbooks for the State Department. I've worked with the Alameda County School Boards Association as an officer and as a representative. And for my money, there is no more valuable thing to do than be in charge of, help to be in charge of our children's education. When Thomas Jefferson was challenged that not everybody knows enough to vote, his response was, well, then we need to teach them. And by George, we need to teach them. And that's what our mission is. We need to prepare them to be effective adults, which includes a challenging, rewarding career and being civically responsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Runyon.
Thank you. I guess I'd break that question down into two parts, is why education and why another term. And so first, why education? I think education changes lives because it changed mine and both of my children. I came from a difficult background, but I was fortunate that I was good at academics, and I was able to go to college only because I was able to get a scholarship from the military to go to college. And that changed my life completely. And I watched the impact of my children. One of my children learned everything the very first time it was presented and could have had anyone as a presenter in front of them. My second child, not so much. She needed things to be retaught over and over, and yet, you know, in the end, she learned everything she needed to, and she's in graduate school in North Carolina. Education changes people and society, and that's, you know, been my passion for a long, long time. And why again? We've done some really good work in Livermore, and I want to see it continue. And the community has entrusted us with $240 million. And I want to be there to make sure that it's spent in a responsible and cost-effective way. That's kind of the compact between us and the community is, if you're going to trust us, we're going to do the work to make sure that it gets spent well and you get good value for that dollar. So I would say a big part of it is financial. I think that's something that I do bring to the board. I work as a stock analyst, and so I'm not concerned about understanding the budget. I feel like I have a really good handle on the budget, and so I work mostly in that area now. That's not what I did when I started, but it's what I do mostly now. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Prusso.
So my name is Emily, and my parents were both educators and come from a sort of a long line of teachers in my family. So it was kind of something that was always around me. And I believe that I am a lifelong learner from starting in 5th grade and with Mrs. Green and reading White Fang. Then I decided to go and get my master's degree in literature. And then once I had my kids, I became involved in the schools just like everyone here has. And I have 5 different learners at home, and 2 of them have graduated, and I have 3 in the schools now. And I feel like I have a unique perspective because I have kids in the district now, and they all have different needs and learning needs. And so my thought was that maybe I could, after serving on site councils at Livermore and East, I saw what things were happening in the district, and it was exciting to me, and I wanted to see if I could do more. And so that's why I decided to run, is hopefully to do more for our kids and to continue the forward trajectory that's already happening in Livermore. And also just having that unique ability to see I'm in the trenches, as they say, see what's happening in the schools right now because I have students in schools. So this is all new for me, but I'm hopefully learning and just grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to question number 2. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We're going to read Chung Bothwell's statement at this moment.
Hello. Greetings and good evening. My name is Chung Bothwell, candidate for the Livermore School Board on November the 6th. I'm so very sorry that I'm not here tonight. Due to my previous commitment for this date, I am unable to attend the meeting. I'm grateful to President of the Parent Club, Ms. Ellen Gould, for reading my statement to you on my behalf. You can also see the handouts that I gave Ms. Kathy McConnell and Ellen Gould for tonight's meeting. I have lived and worked in Livermore for 35 years. I have been working at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in the field of financial and contract management for the same duration of time. In this role, I work closely with many federal and state agencies dealing with cost proposals and funding. I have a Master of Business Administration in Finance, 2 law degrees, a Juris Doctor, and a Master of Law in Intellectual Property. I am an appointed citizen member of the Measure G Oversight Committee for 2 terms. I review the area of advanced courses in science, technology, engineering, and math. I am very active in this community. I am a lector and a Eucharistic minister at St. Michael's Church. I teach children liturgy there on Sundays. I also served as a volunteer judge for the Tri-Valley Youth Court. I've been serving as chairman of Uncle CU for several years, although I have served on the Uncle Credit Union Board of Directors for over 25 years. The last 11 years, I've been re-elected 11 times continuously as the board chairman. Under my leadership, we've made our credit union the best credit union in the Bay Area. We grew from $1 million in assets in 1957 to $450 million now. Uncle was recently named as the 2018 Best Credit Union in East Bay Reader's Choice Awards. Our city of Livermore has grown significantly since 1983. We now see a diverse student body that includes many different races, religions, and interests. I believe children are our future. I believe in providing our children the resources necessary for their education, and I believe in providing a safe and stimulating environment to learn. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now we'll go on to question number 2. And this round will start with candidate Bueno. What do you see as the top priorities for the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District? And why do you believe these to be priorities?
Well, the number one priority are the children, and there's so many aspects of it. When I look at it as priority, to me, I look at it as a challenge. So there's probably the number one thing that has kind of driven me crazy, and I came out of government my whole adult life, is funding. And the funding for public schools is kind of crazy because the money comes from the state largely, and the school district has to wait annually to find out what the next one's going to be. There's not much carryover. It's a very strange form, and it puts a lot of people, in a nervous condition all the time. Everyone's always waiting on it. And then there's these unfunded mandates. If you put it all down, the one thing that, it's very difficult because it's legislative, but the challenge that we have for our special needs kids, which is a very high percentage, and we have about 12, 13%, it's over 1,000 kids that have needs that the district provides, and it's largely not funded. And that is particularly, it's disturbing to me that we get these mandates, it's a need, and then there's no money that comes behind that. And to me, that's something we need to follow up on. One of the things that I asked when I came in was what our federal presence was, and we had in the past some grant writing that went on. We were able to bring in someone to help with that, and I've been the liaison to the federal side. One of the ways that I helped when I was in government before, was I look at the whole bucket of money as the big water tank, and there's some leaks in the bottom of it, and there's things that we use it for, but you have to keep adding to it. And so that's one of the things I've been trying to do with partnerships, is bring in some federal money. We just won a federal grant through that process, and we've got a couple more in the pipeline. So I'd like to leverage my professional experience to help, to help expand on that.
Thank you. Next will be candidate White.
I don't know how to turn the microphone on. Our priorities start with the children. And these days we are discovering that they aren't coming to school as ready to learn as they were even 20 years ago. So when in doubt, you have to prepare, get your raw material. If you don't have a good handle on the suppliers of raw material, you have to improve the quality of your raw material. And there was a monograph from the Department of Education at one time that said, here they come, ready or not. Well, whether we're ready or they're ready, we have to address it. And one of the things we're doing to address it is the multi-tier system of support that we have adopted. It brings psychological professionals, support people from all categories to help our children get ready to learn. If you start out behind, even if you are available to go to TK, you're still behind unless you have specific, what shall I call it, tutorial to get the things that are expected of someone who walks through the first grade door. And so our multi-tiered system of support is going to do that. Recently, PACE, a think tank of California education, has come up with a redo of the 23 studies that were done 10 years ago. It addressed things like facilities, finance, curriculum, teacher training, student preparedness, all those sorts of things. And it lists many, many things that we need to do, and we need to look at those things with relation to our district and see what would be most effective. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Runyon.
We did a lot of work to come up with a mission statement that each student would graduate with the skills needed to thrive in a changing world. And I think that's really important. And I think that's the only priority. The question is, what are the barriers to those priorities? What are the kind of things that we worry about? And, with the year that we've gone through, we have to think about physical safety, and we've done a lot of work on that. We have to think about social, emotional, as well as the educational component that everyone understands is our mission. When I think about the barriers to those things happening, I think about, where are the employees of the future going to live? How can someone live in Livermore on a salary that's offered in education? And, I look at the numbers and I say, they can't buy in now. If they're not here now, that's a problem. And so that's the kind of thing that I think about and worry about. Where will the employees of the future come from? And I think they're going to come from the Central Valley. And so working with the ACE train, the LAFTA community, to bring educators in on the train so that they don't have to be driving the Altamont and have shuttle buses, that's a thing that I'd really like to work on. Having daycare has become something that I'm really aware of as a barrier to people being able to come to work. And parents say the same thing, that there aren't enough available daycare slots in the community. And one of the things that we're talking about is, how many slots could we do if we opened our own daycare, and could that be something additive that the district could do, is guaranteeing that if you come to work for us, your child has a slot or has a preferential slot, because the employees of the future are critical. And I don't see a way that with the salaries that are available in education in this region, that people can live in this region.
Thank you, candidate Runyon. Candidate Prusso.
So I think that my first priority for the district, like many of the others, is the students. And for me as a parent in the district, student achievement is probably way up there on my list of things. The other thing that I would mention is more parent involvement. But to speak on the student achievement just briefly, I would like to see more student-centered learning. I would like to see more growth mindset. I have several of my kids' teachers who are teaching this way, and I really appreciate the growth mindset, teaching the kids that failure is a chance to learn, and that we have different innovative ways to assess than just taking a test and that's it. There's no retakes or anything. I'd like to see more retakes and more learning to fail and how to succeed from there. And I think too that right now, I think we have room to grow as far as student achievement. Right now in our district, we are 51% of the students are not meeting math standards and 39% are not meeting the ELA standard. And I think that we can do better. So that would be my first priority, is to work within the policies that are there, and if we need different policies or different programs to help students. I think the teachers need more support, whether it's collaboration time or whatever they need in order to do that. And I think that having good policy to support these things would give the students the chance to jump ahead and get the achievement that we need. So those are my priorities. And then parent involvement. And I think you guys are a great example of one way that we can do that, and trying to get parents more involved in PTA and site councils would be also very helpful.
Thank you. And candidate Von Heater.
I think the first thing is the social emotional health of our students. I think we see it on the news when things break down and students can't cope with the world that they're in right now. I think they're growing up in a very challenging time with a lot of demands and a lot of balance that they're trying to achieve, whether it be traditional academics, after-school curricular, technology, social media, and I think that they're not getting the support they need. I think there's a lot of parents that don't understand how to achieve that balance. So I think kids are going to struggle even more so. We went to, my wife and I went to a presentation earlier in the spring from Access Community Health at the Robert Livermore Center. A father was talking about how he lost his son, and just the learning curve that he had to achieve to figure out why his son ultimately killed himself, sadly, and how he got to that point and what he needed to do as a parent to help other people succeed. And I think, I think if a school district is helping kids thrive, I think understanding the kind of challenges they're walking through the door with, I think is key to that. One of the things that came through, the LCAP committee I was on this last year was and I know the board was very supportive in our administration, was the idea of getting more counselors in our school and improving the student ratio. I think that's huge. I think there needs to be more resources devoted to that, not just books and pencils, but support for kids in a time that's evolving and changing for them. And along with that, it's the second part of that is just balance in general. I think that's technology. I see we get, at Lawrence or any school, we get shiny new widgets and great computers and Chromebooks and things, but I don't think our teachers and our staff are getting the training that they need to fully implement and succeed with that. So I don't see how that's going to filter down to the kids. So if we're throwing money at again, technology, I think part and parcel of that needs to be the training that goes along with it, so the whole system succeeds.
Thank you very much. So everybody's answered question 2. We're going to move on to question number 3. We're going to begin with candidate Runyon. So it's candidate. Did you answer first? No? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. So candidate White, you'll be answering first. I never seen anybody fight over wanting to answer first.
I never did.
Good for you.
I was in the first grade one time when they all wanted to be first.
Okay, so question number 3. What skills, expertise, and/or perspective do you bring to enhance the governance team?
The governance team. That's the 6 of us plus the 5 of us plus the superintendent. I've had a lot of CSBA education in this area. One of the best things I ever did was go to the new board member training, which is, it's a Friday, Saturday activity that CSBA offers. I don't know if anybody else has done it, but I hope if some new people are elected, they will plan to go. But but if there's 4 days, 2 days, there's 4 sessions, and one is on superintendent relationships, one budget, one negotiations, and one curriculum. So it sets your stage. Nobody wakes up that Wednesday in November knowing everything they need to know. So somebody is much more skillful if they've been there. What skills do I bring? I ask different questions. I mentioned that before. As a scientist, I ask different questions. And I